Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with three S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, with my lovely co-host Rachna. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, but I'm also really glad that this is the last episode. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people, that this is their favorite franchise. I'm not on that train. I understand now why I stopped watching it. I guess I just don't enjoy the drama that this particular franchise brings, and I mean, I know that a lot of these franchise, it's about all these fights and like staying on the show is getting into these fights and not really getting over them in a mature fashion. I get it, but this one, this isn't hasn't been interesting.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what they're fighting over anymore. Like, what is the point?
Uh, Breaking Teresa's love bubble,
I mean,
and so
okay.
I've been I've been watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, and that is fascinating, right? I sat and I watched it for like 8 hours every day, and I'm just like, and yesterday there was like an expert witness that was on that was talking about bipolar disorder and histrionic personality disorder, and was it bipolar? I think it was bipolar. Anyways, it was just so fascinating hearing the characteristics of, like, and I'm like, this is interesting. And then hearing like different testimonies and then me putting the pieces together, like, oh my God, like they have this character trait and this character trait. And like that was fascinating to me. And then I was like, oh, I have to go watch this episode. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's so not engaging for my mind at all, or like
Yeah.
my desire to understand human behavior and how people like do things, like that's really what my desire is when I watch reality TV. And I guess I'm just not fascinated by how these women, for the most part, how they live their lives and how they get along. And like I'm just like, it's just not as entertaining as like a psychological evaluation of a woman in court.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that also the fact that this was a finale episode was a joke because it it was just such an abrupt ending. Like there was nothing to it.
There was nothing to it. And I don't know who wrote those captions at the end, but it was like someone that was like 12. Like it's just like, and they went home. Like it was so like not dramatic at all.
Yeah.
Or like I didn't
Yeah.
care about, like it wasn't something exciting. Like, okay, yeah, I think we had Teresa's little finale sentence was like he asked her a question and she finally said yes or something like that.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so, or she finally answered a question. And I was like, okay, that's the
Yeah.
only one that was kind of like loosely interesting, but you
Funny.
knew that he was
Yeah.
going to propose to her anyway. So,
Yeah.
and she's going to say yes. So, whatever.
Yeah.
Getting the Jackie's one was just something about like her eating disorder and her
Being
husband being
healthy.
supportive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most interesting one I thought was Dolores moved back in with Frank and the kids, but she has a new boyfriend. That's interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
But is
But
that's the height of the entertainment?
yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is it's like boring. It's still all boring.
All boring. But let's talk about the boringness of it all. So we're doing Showdown in Smashville. Yes. Anyways, I'm just like, I love that they're in Nashville. I think that it is making it slightly more interesting because at least I get to
Yeah.
look at the outfits, and the activities they're doing are a little bit fun, I'd say. But other than that, it's pretty lackluster. So of course they're talking about Margaret, and so Dolores and Frank are talking about Margaret, and then Melissa and Joe are talking about Teresa, and I'm like, they just woke up out of bed and they're already just talking about them. Like I know that it just
Yeah.
happened last night, and like it's still on their minds, and it's still like that's what they're coming to Nashville for, is to all hang out. So I understand it, but like, wasn't there anything else? Could you talk about the line dancing teacher? Talk
Yeah.
about the song, like
Yeah.
something.
Something, yeah.
Don't care about Teresa being rude. So then, after Dolores mentions that she hired a chef, which I think is that's really fun. Like, I do love about all these women for the most part are they always are cooking and like actually doing the meals and all that stuff. So I think that that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the franchises, it's always like private chefs or whatever, or like people
Right.
coming in, and so it was nice to see that they have like a chef to take care of them a
Yeah.
little bit, and so like, I wanna see that opulence, you know? But I do
Yeah.
appreciate that they are all good cooks for chefs.
Mhm.
So they're gonna be doing a bike ride today. We see Melissa and Joe call Teresa, and so they praise Teresa on her apology, and I'm just like, "Joe, that wasn't a good apology, like, you don't need to praise her, like, you could still maybe reprimand her a little bit and just be like, "Hey, look, I thought it was really big of you that you were able to say something to the group, but I think that you do need to figure out what you can need to say to Margaret for you to smooth it over." Like she needs to be held accountable a little bit. And I do agree with Margaret in that sense that, the kind of the theme of the rest of the episode is that they let her get away with it and they don't hold her accountable. And I think that she does need to be held accountable a little bit. Do you?
Um, I mean, yes, but I think Joe was right when he said
It's a step.
she doesn't apologize, and so this is actually growth for her. Last week episode, Joe said that. Um, I mean, yeah, it's Teresa is one of those people who just don't get held accountable, and people around her accept that about her. Like she just gets away with everything, and so I feel like chasing her to be accountable is kind of boring to watch.
Well, definitely. I'm not going to be chasing her. I would definitely give no f's about that relationship. I'd be like, if you don't feel comfortable with respecting me, I don't feel comfortable with being friends with you. Like, I'm not gonna fight for this friendship. Like, if you don't think that I deserve for you to treat in a respectful way, then there's no more conversation to be had. I don't need to yell at you to be like, you need to respect me. If you don't respect me, like, we don't need to be friends.
Yeah,
It's interesting. Go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say, like, I think it goes both ways. I don't know how Margaret can call her Teresa's friend either because she's been coming for Teresa half the season, and she should have let it go a long time ago, you know?
Yeah,
So I think the fact that, like, even Margaret expects that Teresa should be accountable to her, like, yes, Teresa did a horrible thing. I think that was Teresa's way of being like, "This is really my last straw. Get off my back, and
yeah,
I'm gonna throw something at you so that you don't ever think that you can even talk to me again." You know what I mean? I
absolutely.
mean, I don't think
And
Teresa thought it through that well, but that's my reading of the situation.
well, I don't think I've really ever been in a situation like this, but I've had people that like didn't treat me well. And you know what's going on with me and them? Nothing.
Nothing,
You
yeah,
don't
exactly.
like me. I don't care. Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
it's
Exactly.
like thank you. Thank you for showing me who is my friend,
Exactly.
who I should be working on a relationship with. And this is how you feel about me. Thank you for the information. I'm going to move on because I don't need to try and make somebody like me. If we don't get along, if you don't like me, if you're doing nasty things to me, if you're saying things behind my back, I don't need to have that energy following me around. So
Mhm.
it'd be like, bye. So the fact that
Mhm.
Margaret, I know it's for the storyline, but that she just keeps on going and needs to have an apology and needs to that. Like the best thing to do with Teresa would be to completely ice her out.
Yeah.
No conversations about her, nothing. Because like when you take that energy away from someone, they notice and they change immediately.
I don't
Like
I don't think Teresa would change, like, I don't think
well, I mean, I'm saying like not change her actions, but the way that she interacts with Margaret. I think that she might be like eventually kind of come over and be like, "Hey, like maybe we should talk." But like, I don't think that I think she should have just completely iced her out, not be talking about her behind her back, and not being mad at her, like none of that. Completely ignore her as a human being, And I think that it would have had an effect on Teresa.
But
You don't
isn't
think
that
so?
kind of no, I don't think so at all, because I think that's kind of what like Margaret was Teresa was doing to Margaret, because Margaret was like coming at Teresa about Louis, and Teresa was trying to ignore her, and Margaret just
She
came
wasn't fully
harder.
ignoring her. She was still bitching about it and complaining about it and
Okay.
like getting angry about it. I'm just saying, like, completely not making it not a big deal at all, not giving any attention, any energy towards the argument or the fight or what they're
I mean,
doing.
yeah, I mean they're on the show, so they have to talk about it. So,
True.
I mean, I kind of feel like I mean, if they weren't on a show, it would be playing out very differently, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I suppose, but anyways. So Margaret thinks that they give Teresa a participation award, and I think that that's kind of funny. I'm just
I think
like,
it's funny too. Yeah.
I was like, she had some good little kind of one-liners that I appreciated. I want to like Margaret more, but it just, yeah, I don't know. Some people like
Yeah,
obsessed with Margaret, and I'm just like,
people are
she's
obsessed with Margaret.
okay. She's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not obsessed with Teresa, but
but I think Teresa made the show, and I feel like I almost give her a pass because
you give her a participation award.
I mean, no, I think I put her on a pedestal. It's not even a participation award at this
I'm
point.
just teasing.
No, I know, but I just feel like she literally made that show, and she's the longest running current housewife.
It's true.
So, and I think this like her behavior models this is she's just like I'm untouchable, and so she just does whatever the fuck she wants. And I think Margaret hates that.
There could be a little bit of jealousy there for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
Teresa's top
who
dog.
wouldn't be jealous of that? Yeah, who doesn't want to be that, you know?
How much do you think she gets paid for per episode? Do you know her salary?
No idea. Do you?
I don't know. I'm actually curious, like what the pay structure is for all the women. That would be interesting to see, like how they act, to see like how much money they get paid. I'd be very interested. We did learn something interesting about Frank. Do you remember?
So, sorry, I just looked it up.
Oh,
In
the base. Mhm.
in 2019, Teresa earned $62,000 per episode.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not that crazy amount. I'm sure it's gone up since then. So maybe she's at like 80
What?
or more, maybe more actually. 4 years or 10
Oh,
years
okay. I just read something that Margaret Josephs is the show's wealthiest wife.
on her own.
Yeah.
Hmm. So maybe she's like, I'm the wealthiest, but why don't I have as the clout that Teresa has?
I mean, it's obvious. Like, she doesn't have the clout because she's not Teresa Giudice. She didn't flip a table in like season 1 or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, yes, yes.
I think that like for me, New Jersey will always be about New Jersey Italians, and Margaret's not a New Jersey Italian. Is she even like New Jersey born and bred? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe that's shifting, I don't know, but I feel like that show will
Well,
always
because
be
like,
like
even like Jackie has that New Jersey accent. Like it's such an East Coast
yeah,
accent that even Jackie has. And so Jackie, I feel as though Jeff is Evan is Jewish. I'm assuming just by his last name.
yeah.
I'm assuming she might be as well. Because am I making it up that her kids had bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs?
I don't know.
Anyways, like
Maybe
I believe I believe that they're of Jewish faith.
I think so too, yeah.
And so like I don't mind because she has the accent still. Like she doesn't have to be Italian for me, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I totally agree with you though that if Margaret was Italian or had a bit more of that accent, maybe I
Yeah.
can get behind her. Like the same kind of attitude and the brashness, like how, you know, like Dolores, like how Dolores talks, like they're just so
Yeah.
kind of, they have this little gangsterness that I do appreciate that because I don't really know anybody like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Um, Yeah, I mean, I think Dolores is so cool with how she used to be like a big fighter. You know what I mean? Like, not
Yeah.
cool that fighting is cool, but like I like the fact that she has a little bit of a colored past. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. She's
find
not
that
just like
interesting.
shiny and clean. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, you remember what we learned in this episode? It was an interesting tidbit at this moment.
Are you sorry? I thought you were gonna play it. No, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Frank owned a massage parlor. I
Oh, that
totally was
part.
like,
Yes. Yes.
I
Do you
did
think
not
it was
expect
like a?
that.
Did you think it was
Mhm.
like a happy ending situation?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
What else would it have been? It wasn't like, do they call massage parlors that aren't with happy endings
Oh
anything
yeah.
other than
That's
that?
yeah. Good point. Good point.
Um, which I thought was like, okay, Frank, is this how you made your money? Like, happy ending, one happy
That,
ending at a time.
that absolutely is.
Hilarious. I
Yeah.
think that's funny.
I think so
Uh,
too. Yeah. It caught me off guard a little bit, but also not at all.
right? I just
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that, but like I could totally, in those green suits that he had, like
Yeah.
running these, like, you know, have multiple massage parlors, like making millions, like it's so
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
So perfect. So then I said, complaining about Teresa in the kitchen, just take accountability, yada yada yada. Um, so they all leave for the bike ride, and so they're all kind of dressed kind of casually. So I thought that they were going to be doing like regular bike rides, like along a boardwalk or something like that, is what I was
Yeah.
expecting. Especially with everybody, how they were dressed was kind of athletic, would say,
Athletic. Yeah.
except for Margaret, who was wearing very high heels still and a dress. But for the most part, everybody else was dressed athletic. So they're going to be riding the Sprocket Rocket. Did you try the Sprocket Rocket when you were in Nashville?
No, absolutely not.
Did you see the
Yes.
Sprocket Rocket? You did. Okay,
I
so it's
saw
a thing
many.
that's all
Yes. I
around.
saw many.
And if we as a group went to Nashville, would you be willing to go on a Sprocket Rocket with us?
I mean, sure. Yeah, I do
Okay,
it
okay.
with the group. It wouldn't be like my first choice, but I do it.
So basically it's um like 14 bikes. So she had a reservation for 14 people. They had two people in the middle. So I guess they're bartenders, but somebody has to be actually directing this bike. And so they're riding the bike, but they're kind of facing each other and they have like a bar in front of them where they had drinks. It seems like the cup holder was attached to the counter surface. Did that make sense to you?
Yeah.
No, no. I was just like, because I'm like, didn't really see anybody move it. I just saw people kind of bending their heads down. So I'm assuming that it was stationary cups.
Yeah. I think it's like built into the whole thing because it's designed to like get people drunk.
Right. I feel like it's terribly dangerous. Like, I don't know, riding a bike like that, getting drunk, getting kind of rowdy with music, on main roads where, like, what if somebody just like happens to fall off and just gets hit by a car? Like, it seems dangerous, but maybe it's just what we saw.
Well, I think it's like on the main strip, and there's always so much traffic on the main strip that no one's moving like no traffic is actually moving that fast. It's
Okay.
like bumper to bumper the whole time.
It's kind of like a parade or a float.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just remember seeing at one point they pulled up next to like some car, like a van, and I was like, "Huh, that sounds so scary." Just like being drunk and rowdy. It just, I mean, I guess nothing's happened, so they continue along. But so, of course, though, Teresa shows up last with Louis, and none of they don't want to sit beside Margaret because Margaret's sitting kind of on the end because she's not riding the actual bike part of it. And so Teresa and Louis show up and they get on their bikes, whatever. Um, I thought this was a fun concept. I would do it. Have you ever done any tandem bikes?
When I was a kid, yeah, with my parents.
I've never done one. I've always wanted to. I'm like, let's go on a
Yeah,
tandem bike ride. Never done it.
yeah.
Never done it. So they seem to get pretty tipsy. I don't know if they're just kind of playing it up, but like the music's playing. Drew and Allison are their bartenders slash like hype people. You see them like, booty pop into the crowds. Melissa's definitely getting into it. Melissa's actually kind of fun.
I think so, yeah.
She's been annoying me these last few weeks, but like I'm like, you know what? She'd probably be the person that I would hang out with the most there because she's just like kind of normal and fun when she's not complaining about something or like
I
upset
mean,
about
so is
something.
Jennifer, though.
That's true. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. I think I'd
And
hang out with
so
Jennifer.
no, I think I'd hang out with Melissa over Jennifer, but I would hang out with Jennifer as well. I don't think I'd hang out with Teresa.
No, absolutely
Dolores
not.
is a little bit boring. I would not hang out with Jackie. She's
No.
way too boring for me.
And she doesn't
Um,
eat, so
and we like going out for
yeah.
food. Absolutely. I was just thinking about that. Like me and like my best friend Anna, like our relationship is surrounded by food. I bought the woman 2 different types of salt for her birthday. I got her
Yeah.
regular Malden salt, and then I also got her smoked Malden salt. Like
Wow.
that's how much we like food.
Yeah.
And yeah, it wouldn't work out if like we didn't get excited about going to a restaurant and being
Yeah.
completely gluttonous together and eating everything on the menu. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, Jackie. Um, and Margaret,
I
I
wouldn't
don't
hang
know
out
if
with
she's.
her.
I don't think she's fun enough. I don't mind gossiping, absolutely, but she kind of gets one just like tunnel vision on like one thing, and I would have been bored a long time ago, and I'm like, can we talk about something else?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like somebody
Yeah.
that's in a relationship, an abusive relationship, or a relationship with a shitty person, and like they just talk over and over and over about the relationship, and you give so much advice, they don't take any of the advice, and they still want to
Yeah.
talk to you over and over, and I'm just like, I can give great advice. I can definitely be someone that will listen and be a sounding board. But at some point, I don't want to hear it anymore. Like, if you don't want to do something different, change your dynamic, then
Mhm.
I'd have to not chat with you anymore. So they get to the hot chicken place. Melissa's pretty tipsy. She's twerking in the middle of the street, jumping up on Jennifer, and they fell to the ground. I gasped. I'm so scared for her nose. Jennifer. She
Are
keeps on
you?
falling, and I'm like, is she gonna like? Because she's just like, like she's so awkward. I wonder if it's because she's trying to protect her nose that she doesn't do things naturally and normally. But then we see her falling when they're doing the horseback riding in the water. So
Yeah.
she says she's a klutz, but I'm scared for her nose. Please don't hurt the nose. So they're at some hot chicken place. And yes, we could pull up our hospitality heroes because some people, a poor woman was there with her mask,
Yeah.
I could barely understand her, like coming to the table with their mask. But what I heard them ordered is some of the hottest and spiciest wings. So Joe, as we know, Joe loves a little bit of a competition, and he decides that he wants to see who can eat the most spicy wings out of all the men. And the spiciest wings are called Shut the Cluck Up. Cute. I like a good pun. How are you with spice? I'm sure you'd be good with spice.
No, I'm not into
No?
spice actually, no.
What? I guess, did I not know that?
I didn't grow up eating spice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So out of the 4 men that were eating the spicy wings, who do you think you would be most like? So um
I mean,
the
okay,
person
let's
Louis?
backtrack a little bit, okay? Because Hattie B's is a very popular Nashville chicken spot.
Mhm.
Nashville chicken is known for being spicy. But Hattie B's is actually a copycat of the original, which I've been to. It's called Prince's. So Prince's is outside of the city. It's quite far outside of Nashville, and they invented Nashville hot chicken I want to say like in the 60s or the 70s, like very long time ago. It's like a very vibrant Black community that sustains this restaurant. And so I think I went at like 2 in the morning. It was packed. It was so packed we had to wait an hour to get our chicken. And I got mild and I could not eat it. It was so hot I could not eat it. Yes. I got mild or maybe medium. And I literally could not eat it. Um so I would be like Evan actually and be like, no thanks. Like it's just not enjoyable for me to eat that kind of spicy food. If I'm gonna eat spicy food, it has to be green
Balanced.
chilies.
Oh,
Well, it has to be it's a particular flavor, green chilies, which is very common in Indian food, but I didn't grow up eating spicy Indian food either. Like I don't think I've ever eaten spicy Indian food in an Indian household ever in my life. Not any of my relatives, extended relatives, none of my family friends. Like I just think that
wow.
Indian food being spicy is a misnomer. It's a complete like generalization that's just not based on fact.
Well, for me, like
Um,
like just add to echo what you're saying, but from my perspective, so my best friend growing up, her mom was from India, and so she was always making different curries and different things, whatever, and it was always spicy.
yeah,
So I just, I kind of always just correlated like spicy, always.
yeah, I think that's real
And
for
she loves spicy
some
food.
some Indian people, but it's absolutely like I cannot recall going into one Indian household ever and eating spicy food. And if somebody wanted spicy food, the way that it's offered is with fresh green chilies on the side. So you literally eat your food and then you take a bite of a green chili. And so that is the kind of flavor that I want for my spicy food.
Fair.
I don't like other kinds of like I don't like jalapenos, spicy jalapenos. I don't like Thai red chilies. I don't
Did
like
you hate
Scotch
the restaurant
bonnet.
that we worked at because we had so many hot chilies? What about the hot sauce
No.
that Christina used to make? Did you ever have it? Did you know me, Christina?
No, I think that was after my time because while I was there, I remember a lot of people asking for hot sauce and we had Valentina, which is not
Not hot.
spicy.
Hmm.
And I think at some point we started just offering people crushed red chilies because that was all that was available. But I remember a lot of guests being like, "Why don't you have some real spicy food here?" I think that might have been after I left.
Christina makes a good hot sauce. Just gotta say, she started
Noted.
bottling it and selling it. So I think it's delicious. I like spice. I don't know if I could eat the spice that they were eating, but
Yeah, it's just
I
not
definitely,
enjoyable to me, so I
yeah.
wouldn't even try. Yeah.
So I guess then you would
Wait, would
be.
you which one of the 4 would you be?
I'd get to the end, I'm sure.
Really?
So
Okay.
I'd be the Joe, or I'd be the Joe being like, I can get to the can we just call it a tie because I'm gonna die here. I might get to the end like that and try to, like, if someone was beating me, maybe I would maybe graciously bow out. I
Yeah,
wouldn't force a tie, but I think I would get to the end.
fair.
With like drooling mouth and like nose drooling and eyes drooling for
Yeah.
sure. So Teresa, though, wants to talk to Margaret during this whole thing. And I'm just like, why, Teresa? Like, why is now the time? Like, couldn't you wait till you were in public? Like, couldn't you just like do it in the morning, come over to the house beforehand, have a little sit down? You could still film it. And
That means she would have to spend more time with Margaret or on camera.
I guess, but you keep on saying it's her job, right? But Margaret doesn't want to have this conversation, and they're kind of like starting to fight about, like, no, well, I want to have it now. And she's like, I don't want to have it now. I want to have it now. I don't want to have it now. So they finally separate the two, and just Teresa decides that she's going to talk to her later. They did do a flashback of Teresa pulling hair. I've never seen that scene. Have you seen it before, or did you investigate?
It's not Teresa pulling hair, it's actually Danielle pulling hair.
What
But
happened in that
Teresa put Danielle up to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
How can you put someone
Um,
up to pulling hair as like a 40-something-year-old adult?
well, if you watch the clip back, you'll see Danielle be like, "Do you want me to pull her hair?" or something like that. I haven't seen it, but I read about it in the Not All Diamonds and Rosé book.
Right. Right, right.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you finished that book now. How is
I
it?
have. Yes, I have. Yes. I feel like I want to go back and read parts of it because, like, now I've started watching Potomac, so I want to read the Potomac chapter again while I'm watching it
Right.
for added context or backstory.
Hi, Sophie. Thanks for joining us.
Hi,
So
Sophie.
the season went by fast. Did it though?
Not
Did
fast
it?
enough.
Did it? I mean, it did in the sense that like it's been 3 months. But it didn't feel fast. Um Definitely was like, man, is this season almost over yet? And like I was only at like episode 8.
Yeah.
So just to go back to the wing contest, so Louis was out first with the hot wings. Then Frank was out. Joe is hurting. Bill is sweating, but Bill, like, I did love how Jennifer was like hyping up her man. She's like, "He's got this. My man's got this. He's the best." Like, I thought that was cute seeing a little bit of like camaraderie and like friendly competition, and her supporting her husband, even in this silly little venture.
Yeah.
So I like that. So then they're going to be going to. Oh wait, what am I talking about? Gave the. Oh my gosh. So this is so gross. So they all return back to the house, and Tiki is still there because he didn't. He had work to do. I'm like, why is he on these vacations if he has like work to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Just like,
I don't get it either.
don't come, don't come. But maybe it's a paycheck just to have his little cameo. I don't know.
I mean, I think they were trying really hard for a housewives spot and, it didn't work out. But they don't decide that until the end of filming. Like, you film as though you might be a housewife, and then at the end of filming, they're like, "Actually, you're just gonna be a friend of." So maybe they were just filming the whole season as though Tracy was a housewife, and in
Eh,
which case he felt like he needed to be there.
that makes sense. Okay, I see that too. So Sophie asks, did we see them? Do we see them doing a Real Housewives of New Jersey reboot like they are doing with the New York one? Um, I don't think so. I don't really see all the original cast coming back together to go on the show. I don't see that happening.
I don't
But
see that happening either. I mean, a lot of the original cast don't even like the Manzo sisters don't speak to each other. They're not going to start speaking to each other just because of the show.
I mean, but if the price is right, I could see people being like, "Well," but at
Fair.
this
Yeah,
point,
that's a
no, I
good
don't.
point.
I don't necessarily see them getting back together.
Yeah, and I feel like New York was iconic in a way that New Jersey is not. And New York is the kind of city where you can have two very different shows within the city. I don't know how different you can have. Like, there's different kinds of wealth in New York City. I don't
Oh my
know.
god, like penthouse wealth, like go to the Hamptons wealth,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah. And I don't know how much the wealth differs within New Jersey. Like, it's just rich. And it's not even that rich.
it's so true. And like you could have people that are like TV personalities, but then you can also have people that are real estate money, then people that are
Yeah,
that
exactly.
is also what I find really interesting is seeing these women coming together, but have vastly different like backgrounds on how they became financially wealthy. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like New York is such a huge city in that sense. And like I'm interested in seeing like let's see what two different types of New York franchises what they would bring. That's
Yeah.
interesting to me, but I wouldn't necessarily be interested in seeing another group of
New
some
Jersey
of the
house.
same women,
Yeah.
yeah, coming back. Mm-mm. The season went faster than the New York one. I was watching them differently. So I wasn't taking notes for New York. So I was just like sitting there like shocked by Ramona. And like texting furiously, like, I can't believe she said that. Oh my God, I can't believe she said that. So for me it went by faster, but I was watching it in a different way. So I'm not sure. Don't forget the challenge All Stars coming soon. Yes, so you've seen that I've done many podcasts now about the challenge All Stars. So I believe on Friday or maybe next Friday, Michelle and Fanta and myself will be doing our draft picks. So I'll definitely post it and let everybody know when that's going to be happening. Where are we? So what else happened? Okay, so they get back to the house and like they're all pretty wasted, and then I guess they're pretty sick from all the hot wings. And
Yeah.
I can understand that their insides must be just like saying like no, no, no. So Joe Georgia is trying to throw up at the like hovering over the toilet, and he's trying to force himself to throw up. And then Frank, was it Frank? Yes, gives him the
Yes.
prosthetic penis that they were doing shots of for him to shove down his throat for him to gag on. I thought it was kind of funny.
I mean, I did too. It was like silly funny. Yeah.
Yeah, silly funny. I was like, just because it was very, very masculine, like hetero masculine funny, but like
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
chuckle.
Yeah.
I did laugh. So they're going to be going to a swanky rooftop. It didn't seem that swanky. Wasn't there AstroTurf?
No. Yes, it was not swanky, and it was on the strip. It was definitely not swanky. It was like some celebrity owned whatever with like a, what is it called? Like a food truck situation. That was not swanky. It was just nice looking.
Yeah, I mean, any rooftop is like a nice view, so maybe that's why they're saying swanky. And there's probably some twinkle lights around,
Sure.
but like, I
Yeah.
did not think of it as a swanky place. It seemed to me like a Toronto summer beach
Yeah.
club type thing, but
Exactly.
not
Exactly. Yeah.
swanky
No, not swanky
at
at
all.
all.
So the only orders that I heard was 2 red wines, a gin and tonic, Tito's and soda. And the boys were having champagne, which I thought was interesting. I was like, usually the guys don't drink the champagne without the women, but they were kind of separate men and women separated.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting.
So Teresa, Louis arrive late. Soup. Like I'm just like, they always need to make this entrance. What do you think of their outfits? So actually, I'll reserve.
I really liked Teresa's outfit. I thought it was well put together and like very Nashville. I found I didn't like Louis' jacket. Like the shiny bit
The
on the back
rhinestones down the
was
back.
like,
I was like,
no, that is also very Nashville, but it's like you're not a country singer at an awards show. Like, calm down.
it was so hideous, but I thought that Teresa looked really good. I loved like all the fringe or tassels
The
or whatever you
fringe,
want to call them
yeah,
on the jacket. It looked like it was maybe suede,
yeah,
and like a cowboy hat. Like I thought her outfit looked really good, really Nashville, and it
yeah,
suited her, even though
yeah,
she's not that vibe at all. And
yeah.
so
I think so. Yeah, exactly. Yes, I think all of her outfits on this trip were very Nashville, but they also suited her. I'm just curious about what she's gonna do with all those things. Like, did she borrow those things, or is she gonna like? They're just gonna sit in her closet for the rest of her life. Like, I'm just curious what's gonna happen with all those things.
she'll probably like there'll probably be like a garage, not a garage sale, but like they'll
Yeah.
auction it off, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
true.
So Sophie reminds us that we're going to get an Ultimate Girls Trip 2 at some point. Do you have any idea of when that's coming out? That will be fun. I
Um,
found that was a lot more interesting than this season. Sorry.
but one second, I'm just looking it up.
We never
Um,
talked about what we wanted to do. Have seasons started and I'm just like not up to date and I'm behind already?
no, no. Atlanta starts on the 1st.
So it's a Sunday. Okay,
Beverly
Sunday's good.
Beverly Hills starts on the 11th, I think.
It's a Wednesday.
Uh, okay, I don't know when. So apparently it finished filming,
A long time ago. Well,
yeah,
I don't
in
know about long, but
September. Yeah, I don't know.
hmm.
But okay, but why did you like Ultimate Girls Trip?
I liked that it was just dynamics of different like characters that I knew all of them separately or I knew them as
Right.
like duos from their franchises and then just seeing them interact with other people. I think that that was
Le-
just what was interesting. So it's just
and
like
less
familiar
fighting?
faces all coming together that you never see them all together, you know?
And less fighting?
There was still fighting, but it wasn't
Oh,
the
okay.
same type of fights. It was more like not getting along or not wanting to play someone like someone's game or like
Okay.
Ramona was kind of disrespectful and like people like not letting her get away with it. So people holding people accountable that usually get away with stuff. Teresa was quite lovely on it. She did no fights whatsoever. Um she was on there with Melissa. So I just found that like I enjoyed everybody on that season and the fights were warranted. You know what I mean? It was like something
Yeah,
actually did happen that people were addressing.
got it.
And so it wasn't just like these conflated like, like fights of stuff that just really doesn't matter, you know?
Right. Right.
So I enjoyed it. And I think the one that in the where's the Berkshires? Is that where they're going? I think that'll be interesting. It'll be fun.
Mhm.
So they order one of everything food wise, which I love that as a server. I'm like, let me create your experience for you. Family style, yes. Like you will get everything that's amazing. It'll be timed out perfectly. You're gonna enjoy yourself. And then they come over with like chicken skewers. I was
Platter.
like,
Yeah.
oh, like it was on a platter, yes, but it was literally chicken on a stick. I
Yeah.
thought it would just be a little bit fancier because we're supposed to be at this swanky place. But
Swanky food truck, Chantel.
I guess it's a swanky food truck. Yeah, it was like nice, like a silver bullet
Yeah.
food truck.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about this a little bit, but do you think that they've lowered their standards for Teresa? Because that's kind of what Margaret was going on about.
Look, I I think that there are certain things that I give certain friends passes for because different people have different experiences. I have a friend that is always late. And I not well, no,
I'm just kidding.
not you. It's somebody I've been, I used to be very close to, and I knew that anytime we were going to meet up, she would show up at least half an hour late. And so I would just show up half an hour late. And I was very cognizant of the fact that if it was anybody else, I would just stop spending time with this person because it was a thing, but I really enjoyed her company and our friendship. And so it was just something that I allowed her, like I didn't expect an apology. I expected that she would be late. And so I gave her that pass. Other people, I probably wouldn't give that pass to because, you know, I I can't excuse their lateness as much as I could excuse hers. And so in other ways, like, I allow certain friends to complain about certain things more than I let others. And so I feel like this idea of like lowering the standards is kind of rude. Like I think that's a rude thing for Margaret to say. The fact is that they have to spend time together because they're on a show together. The
Mm-hmm.
reality is they wouldn't be friends if they didn't have the show. That's what I believe. And so, I think that what Dolores said about Teresa being like, that poor dog from the shelter or
Shelter.
whatever. I mean, I think that's true. Like, I think Teresa's been through a lot, and also she's like the big dog on the show, and so she gets away with a
Mm-hmm.
lot. And I think that I have friends that I let get away with certain things that I wouldn't let other people get away with. So I don't think it's about lowering standards. I think it's about,
Different relationships with different
yeah,
people.
meeting people where they're at and deciding if you want this person in your life, this is what I'm going to have to compromise on. And I'm sure people compromise on things for me in their life too, because no one's perfect, you know?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And kind of with I was saying it before, like, Margaret, pick and choose your battles here,
Yeah,
right? Like, if you do not want to accept that, I 100% support you, but I don't wanna hear about it anymore. I don't want you
exactly.
to hear about how that she's done you so wrong and that she's supposed to, she has to apologize for you, and, like, the apology that she gives isn't good enough, and she's gonna be mad about it. Like, I understand why she's mad, I get it, all of it, but I don't need to hear about it anymore. Like, I think you need to either let it go,
Yeah,
or, like, get a new show because, like, it's
yeah,
not gonna be good for her own health to be so angry at somebody all the time at something that they're not at a place where they're going to be willing to change or do what it
yeah,
takes for you to be okay with their company. So
yeah,
just give up on it.
yeah. And I think if that's what you want your storyline to be, then you're just sabotaging yourself because it's a boring storyline.
And it's kind of like if we use Dolores's analogy with like the puppy that just wants to be loved, it's been through a lot. Sometimes you get one of those puppies that will still not, like still bite and snap at you if because they've been so damaged and bruised,
Yeah,
and you're kind of like, I was hoping that me giving them love was going to help them come around, but it hasn't been working. I'm going to have to give the dog back to the shelter. Sometimes you
yeah,
have to make that decision, and
yeah,
so I think that Margaret has to make that decision because I'm bored with the storyline
yeah. I
as we've talked
agree.
about so much.
I agree.
So yeah, chicken and waffle skewers is what they had. I mean, I would eat one of those. Well, I don't eat chicken, but like the idea of it is interesting, I suppose.
Yeah,
Jackie wants to pop some champagne. I am surprised that Jackie drinks as much as she does, considering she's
yeah.
so calorie concerned.
That's what I like. That's what I've always wondered. It's like,
Like even when she's drinking beer and like she orders like Bud Light or whatever, but like
yeah, like
it's still high calories.
alcohol is high calories as well. So like, if you replace some of that alcohol with food, you wouldn't put weight on. But, I don't understand eating disorders, and so I'm not, like, judging or questioning her. Also, if she wants to drink and not eat, like, she can do that too, like, her body, her choice, right?
Absolutely, but I agree with you, Hundo. So Louis goes to talk to Joe. I was a little bit cringed by this conversation
Oh,
a
yeah,
bit.
absolutely.
So, he asked for Joe's blessing to take Teresa's hand in
Ugh.
marriage, which is respectful. But then
Is
when
it
he
though?
starts to get teary eyed, I was like, what's your opinion?
Is it
Okay.
respectful though? Like, isn't it disrespectful to Teresa? Like, isn't that
Well, I mean, I
really,
think
I
it's
mean,
because
isn't
her
it,
father has passed, and so her brother is who maybe who would be walking her down the aisle if that were the case, maybe.
I mean, I guess for me, I'm kind of like, are people still doing that thing where they ask?
Yeah.
So then,
You
but
know
then
that
the
they're all
other,
about respect. You gotta respect. Like, of course, he has to like ask
okay,
for his permission to marry
yeah,
his
but
sister.
also Teresa's kind of done with her brother, so it's not like they're super close. You know what I mean?
I think, well, he's obviously gonna go to the wedding, and so like I think that it was kind of an olive branch that Louis was putting out there to
Yeah,
try to feel accepted by Joe. And so he
got it.
was mentioning about like how Joe has been one of the guys that have been, welcoming in and not really challenging him and asking him a lot of questions. But then Joe decides to start asking him some questions. And I was just uncomfortable even with how Louis was answering them.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't. He was. I felt like he was evading them.
Cause like it's just like, oh, I was like 35 and I got into some toxic relationships. And I'm always
Yeah.
like, when you get into toxic relationships, it's usually because you're toxic as well.
Yeah.
Usually attract what you are. And so the fact that he's attracting these women that would be treating him in such a way, there has to be some sort of reciprocation of energy there, something. So he says, I've done things that I'm not proud of and stuff like that, but he didn't really admit to anything.
Yeah, and then did Joe accept that as an answer and give his blessing? Like, I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
that
he did.
scene was really confusing to me.
He did.
Yeah,
He
okay.
is fine with it. Oh yeah, when Louis says the amount of sleepless nights that I had dreaming of my perfect woman, and then
Ew.
Teresa, I'm just like,
Ew.
I'm just no. Oh, Louis. I mean, maybe it's because I'm not like attracted to him at all. Like, I don't find him physically attractive. I don't find his gestures my style of like attractiveness. One thing, I wanted to know if you noticed this, but when they were walking up to the bike, Teresa's hand was over top. So that to me shows that she is the boss, right? Because it's usually like whoever's in control has their hand over top when you're hand holding, I believe. If I've read about that information correctly. So I thought it was very interesting that she was like they're walking together, but her hand was over top in the handhold.
Interesting. I don't know if
Usually the
I
woman or like the less dominant person would have the hand underneath, right?
I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if that like holds true for me personally.
Fair. Maybe it could fluctuate in different moments in relationship for you, but whoever is maybe the dominant person in the relationship for the most part usually has the hand over. I think that's I think where I read it or saw people talking about this was like a body language interpreter or whatever.
Well, I think I'm definitely the dominant person in my current relationship, and I've always been somebody to hold my hand on the like on the
Under.
inside, like yeah. So I don't
Huh.
no, I'm not buying that. That seems a bit essential
Interesting.
to me. Yeah, no.
Maybe. But from what I've noticed that has been true, but there's always going to be variations of or a spectrum of where that holds truth or doesn't hold
I mean,
true.
I think he can also play that game where he gives her the impression that she's in
Right.
control. Like even today, the way he was like, let's go." It's very
Well, like what I would
controlling.
love to see. I didn't look, but I don't think we could see his hands. But if he was the one that had his hand over when they were leaving in that situation, I didn't see it, but I would like to take a look at that,
Got it.
which could be interesting. So anything else happened here? So, praying for the amazing woman, blah, blah, blah. He gives the blessing. Frank, though, is pretty on the money with his observation skills. And he tells the guys that he thinks that Louis is asking for for Teresa's hand in marriage. And the guys are like, no, no, no. And Frank's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's pretty observant of you, Frank, to be able to get the vibe. Because they were wondering what they were talking about, looking so serious. So I was impressed by Frank's deduction skills.
Okay.
You weren't?
Do you think maybe he knew ahead of time?
Oh, maybe. Is he friends with Joe like that? But maybe.
Yeah, I don't
Maybe,
know.
maybe. So at the end of the episode, now we get Teresa pulling Margaret to talk. And they sit down. And, the beginning of this conversation I thought was strong. Teresa was level headed and she was explaining rationally her perspective. She was remembering that when Margaret and her first met and how Margaret was really supportive and they cried together about their mom. I actually got a little bit teary-eyed seeing how much Teresa just really wants this relationship to work for her, and that she really felt hurt by Margaret and that she was lashing out. And I was like, this is a normal conversation that I can appreciate and I enjoy watching this. And then it
Mhm.
went sideways. What happened?
I don't know.
I don't know either. And so it ends up with like Margaret, I'm fucking done. And then like Louis comes over and he's like saying to Margaret, have a nice night. And she like rolls her eyes like I've never seen anybody roll their eyes. Like, and so then Louis and her are leaving. And I was just like, well, how did we get here? I mean, I think it's because Margaret says to Teresa, like, you treated me like dirt. And I think
Yeah,
that that's kind of where it escalated. But it was
but
like, Margaret, like, I understand that she treated you like dirt, but the how of it all. Like, if she had
yeah,
just met Teresa where she was at that moment, I mean, like, I totally understand how it upset you that la 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 la, and be like, but it upset me as well when you were saying things about my character, and you're name calling me, like, as somebody that I did feel like I had a really close relationship to, it really did hurt me as well. And the fact that you didn't want to apologize for how you hurt me also hurt me.
yeah. I mean, I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier, which is like they just don't meet each other. Like they're both too invested in their own stories, and so they're just never gonna see each other's perspective or be forgiving, and I think they're both to blame.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
like
I
if
do think though
if
it
somebody
was
was
big of
coming.
Teresa.
Sorry, go ahead.
I know, I just saying I think it was big of Teresa though how she changed her approach with Margaret in the beginning of that conversation. I did think that that was growth for I agree with like Joe being like she's handling these situations a little bit differently. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I just feel like, if Margaret or someone like Margaret was coming for me, I would probably have treated her like shit too. Like,
Maybe not now, but maybe in my past.
so
Yeah.
if somebody was coming for you like that, somebody who is probably like not one of your close friends, like, how would you have treated them if they kept coming for you about your partner?
I would tell them to shut the f up. Don't speak about my person this way. I don't give a crap about what you think you need to know the truth around. It is none of your business. I don't care that it's in the papers. Like it's not my responsibility or his responsibility to make you feel better about my relationship. So like stop talking about it. But it would probably be in a yelling tone. Probably wouldn't be reasonable. But
Yeah, but if it continued, which it has all season, like,
I don't know if I'd flip a table. I've never been
no,
like
maybe not
violent
from
like
the
that, but
table, but you'd maybe
but
say some words. You'd like,
I can
you
see
know,
that.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like
She did push
anyway,
her to that point.
we've talked about this so many times. Like she just pushed and pushed and pushed.
Exactly. It wasn't it her response wasn't enough for her, and she wasn't able to be empathetic. I think that's what I
Exactly.
don't like about Margaret. She has no empathy, actually. Like maybe
Exactly.
like she has had moments where she's been kind, and but like she also wants people to remember those moments, which means like okay, were you only doing them for them to remember that
Exactly.
you did something nice? So it's like, was that a sincere gesture? Questionable now.
Exactly. Exactly.
So at the end of the episode, we do hear Margaret say that she thinks that she'll be right about this one. What are your thoughts? Do you think that she's going to be right about Louis? Do you think it'll ever come out if she's right about Louis?
I mean, I hope that she's not right about Louis. I hope that Louis is the person that Teresa thinks she is. Sorry, thinks he is. And I think for Margaret to say something like that is actually indicative of her character. For her to say, I was right and I will be right, is really shitty, I think. Like, why would you want to be right about that?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to be right about the fact or the idea that this person you call a friend or someone you work with or is,
Is going to be
you're
in a
on the
relationship with someone that's unfavorable,
abusive?
unsavory.
Exactly. Like, why would you want to be right about that? Who cares if you were right about Danielle? It doesn't matter. Like, the fact is, you had made a decision about this person, and you're going to stick to that narrative. It doesn't matter whether you were right or wrong. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep. So Louis wants to leave and they go. And the last kind of confessional from Teresa is like, nobody's going to break my love bubble. I'm not going to let anybody break my love bubble. And
Right.
that's the end of the season. What happened? Nothing. What happened this season? If we were just to take like storylines, so Teresa's storyline was just defending Louis the whole time.
Yeah.
Margaret had two storylines. So one was Jennifer, and then the other one was Teresa. Jackie was eating disorder and kind of supporting Margaret at times.
Yeah.
Dolores was her mom was sick, unfortunately, and the moving houses and her ex-husband moving in with her kids
And breaking up
and
with her ex as well.
breaking up with her ex.
Yeah.
And Jennifer, obviously, the infidelity issues with her husband, and having to deal with Margaret about it all and her nose job. Is that all the
Yeah.
housewives? Oh, and who cares about Tiki and
Yeah.
Tracy?
They're not, they don't even deserve
They
any
didn't have a storyline.
because they didn't have a storyline.
That is not enough for 13 episodes.
No, absolutely not. That could have been one episode. All
It
of
could have
that
been a
shit.
good episode.
I mean, it was one episode, and then it became 13 episodes.
So, I mean, I still enjoy talking through it with you, even though we're complaining for the
Mhm.
most part. And so just to let you guys know, we won't be back next week for the reunion. We'll wait till all the reunion episodes are finished, and then we'll just talk about all of them in a couple weeks from now. So I don't know if they're doing 2 or 3. I don't know how they can squeeze out. No, they're not doing 3.
Yeah, no, I saw a trailer and it said 3 episodes.
So after the 3rd episode, that Wednesday, we'll come back and we will talk about all 3 of the reunions. But we're not going to do them week by week because if this is what we got in 13 episodes, like it's going to be a similar dragging out of the same thing for 3. So we'll come back together to talk about all 3 after the 3rd. Do you have anything else you want to say before we say goodbye for 3 weeks?
No, I'm glad that we did this, but I'm also glad that it's almost over.
Me too, me too. I want to talk about something that's just a little bit more not fun necessarily, but like, like, ooh.
Well, I think Beverly Hills is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Cause like, and I always have something to say about like the dynamics, even the fights that they have. I think that they're just a little bit more like interesting when some of these race conversations happen.
Yeah,
That's, I think, really interesting, even with Erica Jane, like just seeing how she's reacting to people questioning her about like the lawsuits that she's involved in. Like there's a little bit more interesting things going around that
and
I
there's
think
more
will be fun to talk
opulence.
about, and more opulence. And I
Yeah,
know these people better too. So,
right.
well, yes, I agree with you though. It's been fun talking with you. I'm also happy that it's over. I'm happy that we have a 3-week hiatus until we have to talk again about Louis and the rumors and Margaret and being mad at Teresa. We'll get to hear and maybe see some images about her wedding. So that could be interesting a little bit. Let's see if Melissa's upset that she's not a bridesmaid, all that jazz. But that's it for us. 13 episodes. We did it. And if you
Thank you
haven't
for
done it already,
following.
please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to build a community of people that are willing to sit through these 13 episodes with us. Hilarious. And if you're watching this video after, please like it. It's really great for the algorithm and helps the channel out a lot. And leave a comment. Do you think that the entire reunion is going to be all about Margaret and Teresa still? Or do you think there'll be some new interesting things that are happening? Please, what do you think the reunion is going to be all about? That's what I would like to know. Anyways, that's it. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.